Our world is an employee engagement crisis. Only 13% of employees are engaged in the global workforce, causing dramatic effects in any organization. Your organization can expect a more engaged workforce, improved productivity, an enriched culture, and increased profit. Engage and Grow is not your traditional training company. Training is dead. We're challenging the norm with everything we do, and our customers like it. All programs are individually designed by the Engage and Grow team, enabling you to facilitate the highest quality, tailor-made programs, improve communication skills, create deeper relationships, and foster a caring, social, and cooperative attitude. Our coaching will improve leadership qualities and build solid trust between employees, encouraging innovative thinking and proactive future planning. Engage and Grow will refocus, re-energize, and re-engage your employees, and we have tangible methods to measure the results. Our workforce engagement, leadership effectiveness, women's leadership, and engaging the millennial programs will create movement in the mind of employees and your business, creating a movement that will take your company as an empowered team into the future. Bring the gusto back into your organization. Engage and Grow.
Good day, everyone. I'm Dr. Vishnu Durga, and I want to share with you today a presentation on engagement, employee engagement to be more specific. And one of the key things that we want to know is that how can we now raise the level of employee engagement in a different work scenario? As I mentioned, I am Dr. Vishnu Durga. I'm a people development specialist. We work with quite a lot of persons and organizations to really elevate their level of growth. And today I want to be able to share with you the methodology of how we get this accomplished. I would encourage you to take notes as well so that you can start applying this knowledge within your organization. And at the end of this particular presentation, I'll be presenting to you some options that you'll be able to utilize in order to understand what's happening in your organization and in order to be able to move things forward. Now, 2020 has felt like a tsunami. And if you think about the effects of 2020, there are numerous to mention. We just actually had Friday the 13th of November pass us by very quietly, so maybe that's a good sign. And what we want to do is to really set ourselves up to understand how the world has changed and how do we move along with this. I have 4 main objectives to make sure that we do have a bit of fun, that I educate you and not just motivate you. I want to give you key information, and I want to help you make a decision on the level of investment that you should make in your portion. So have your notepad ready, have a pen ready so that you can really capture the knowledge that I'm sharing with you this afternoon. And it's going to go a little bit quick. I'm sure there's going to be a recording available that you can get after the webinar as well. At the end, I'll have not just 1, but 2 gifts to be able to share with you. So make sure that you keep an eye out for that. This particular knowledge works really well for any leaders in an organization. Middle managers, coaches, and consultants can really make full use of the information that I'll be sharing here this afternoon. In most organizations, what is heavily focused on is actually the brain side of the organization, which is all about the processes, the systems, the governance, the procedures, and so much attention goes to that. Nearly all our meetings are focused on getting that done. And we sometimes forget that there are a lot of human beings in our organizations, and human beings, other than having a brain, also have a heart. And if we think about the heart of an organization, the heart of an organization is heavily focused on the behaviors and relationships and the communication as well. How are people led in an organization? How do we develop a very strong culture within an organization? So they go hand in hand. And someone actually mentioned in one of our sessions that, you can be brain dead. And when you're brain dead, it's a problem. But when you're heart dead, you're finished. Right? So are you taking care of the heart of your organization? Now at Action Coach, we have just celebrated our 6th anniversary in Guyana. And we really focus very heavily there on the mind and the body, and really giving people that business education that they are seeking to move themselves forward, helping a lot with the structures and systems and procedures. And with Engage and Grow, we're actually able to really help with the heart and spirit of our employees to really have that level of energy be present in the organization. And when we think about energy, we think a lot about sports as well. And the methodology used for Engage and Grow does come from the sports world by a guy called Richard Maloney out of Australia. And these are some of the books he has written. The Mind of Winning Teams, Injury Free. And his latest book is actually Stress Free. So if you do get a chance, check it out on Amazon. Fantastic book of how to really thrive under pressure. Now, Deloitte in 2016 actually came to the conclusion that company training is the least desirable way to learn. And because what happens with company training is that we basically take an employee out of their normal day, normal work, and we put them in a very pristine training environment where everything works perfectly. And the employee is all hyped up, the employee is learning quite a bit of stuff. And then what do? We take this employee and we put them back exactly where they were before. And very quickly they get shocked and they wonder, hey, what's going on? I can't apply any of these things in my place of work. What the program really does is that we actually take people in their own environment and we allow them to clean up their fishbowl, their dirty fishbowl, and get rid of all the toxic energy that exists. So that people can really get much bigger results, so that they can actually grow the size of their entity and make space. Now, this is not just another workshop. It's not online training. It's not individual coaching. These methods do tend to be a bit older and slower, because what we really want is to create a globally engaged workforce. Engage and Grow again is now spread out across the world, and you can see that we're also here in Guyana, and really looking to move people, engage people, move them forward, especially with the way we now have to actually operate. Now you are watching me on a computer, on a mobile device, and is it easy to connect emotionally on this electronic medium? And a lot of that is being tested right now because the new leaders are emerging, the new leaders who can actually affect people emotionally and have people really give 100%. We really do believe that people who are highly engaged will really be able to move things forward. Even in our own country, we're noticing now that workplaces are being adjusted, sinks are being put at the front of every workplace. Spaces being created between people. The normal tradition of people touching each other, hugging each other is really come to an end. And quite a few people are having a difficulty working remotely. They do feel less connected. They don't know what's happening as clearly as they would like inside organizations. And how do they check in? How do people check in with them? And how do they check in with others as well? So the number one area that is really being talked about right now is mental well-being. And it's being felt, but the question is, is it really being dealt with? And what we have noticed is that to be effective, people really need to stay deeply connected to their work and the work of their teams. Now, if you look at this portion here, does that look like a very engaged employee? Maybe not. And what happens when someone is not very engaged? The organization is less profitable. There are more health and safety issues, more theft, lower customer ratings. lower productivity. So quite a bit of things that are happening that aren't really to the benefit of the organization. You can also end up with a situation of higher staff turnover and less free time because people have to be redoing work and really picking up the slack after others. And if we look at someone who is highly engaged, and I do have to thank our model for modeling there someone who is very highly engaged, and I can tell you, Keon really is. When you find that you have a company that with a very highly engaged workforce, nearly every single customer metric that is measured is 10% higher on average. There is 17% higher productivity. And this comes from a poll done by Gallup. Sales also increased significantly. And the goal for every business is to actually be in a state of higher profitability. And that is what looking after the heart really helps. The entire team becomes much happier and healthier as well. Now, isn't that the question that we're all after? What makes people the happiest? And the simple answer to that is multiple and meaningful relationships. It's much less likely that someone is going to leave a team when they have many people that are really connected to them and that they care for and that care for them. Than if that is not the case. Now, Gallup also confirmed that around the world, there's just about 15% of the workforce that is actively engaged. And you can see the statistics there. In Guyana, we've actually worked out that it's around 18%. But if you look at the definitions for a little bit, we see that someone who's highly disengaged, that's the type of employee that does less than is expected. A person who's just disengaged, those people just do exactly what is expected. Show up exactly on time, take all the breaks, leave exactly on time, only focus on what they were there to do. And someone who's highly engaged are those employees who do more than is expected. They go out of their way, they're constantly learning, constantly growing. And the goal is to shift as many of your team members to a space where they are highly engaged. Because the way it feels is that you have, about 1.5% in every 10 rowing and putting a lot of effort and moving the organization forward. The middle 60 to 70% looking on and doing what's needed to be done whenever necessary. And actively engaged almost feels like they're actively trying to sink the boat. And that could be a very, very disheartening feeling, especially to the people who are doing their best to move things along. Now, if you take a look at the definitions here, and I would encourage you to take a snapshot so that you can see what's happening, what may be happening in your organization, because actively disengaged employees are really, really very damaging to the workplace. And you can see some of the behavior that comes up there. You have disengaged, and what we really want is actively engaged with consistent high levels of performance, high energy, high enthusiasm, and really having that growth mindset. Now, we know that disengagement causes us to lose profits, and even more than that, about 34% of a disengaged person's salary is actually wasted because you're not getting what is being paid for. Now, let's take a quick look at the cost of disengaged employees, and I'm just going to make sure that you can see this very clearly. Let's say that we're an organization that has about 50 employees, of which 18% of them, which is the global statistic for disengagement, that means that about 9 employees in that organization are highly disengaged. We're going to assume that the salary here is about $150,000 per month, which works out to $1.8 million per year. And the cost per employee of disengagement being 34% means that every single employee who's disengaged is actually costing the organization $612,000 per year. Now, if you have 9 employees and each of them are at 612,000, it means that on an annual basis for an organization like this, the cost to the organization is actually $5.5 million. But let's take it a little bit further. Let's assume that smaller organization with the same type of salary, you have about 30 people. It means that the cost to your organization is about 3.3 million. Now, we have heard from some organizations that their salaries are higher. So let's say 300,000. An employee at that level actually costs, a disengaged employee at that level actually costs 1.2 million. And you can see that the higher the salary, the more disengagement costs an organization. So this could be, this is money that is, being lost by people not really doing what they need to get done. Now, what we do in the program as well is measure the level of engagement at the beginning, and then the level of engagement at the close of the program, and also the employee net promoter score. How likely is it that employees would be promoting the organization as a place to work?
The heart of a company are the people. And the only way you get to grow a company is through knowing the people that you're working with and what makes them tick, what makes them excited. How do you get them engaged?
We found the Engage and Grow program to be an extremely useful platform for troubleshooting organizational dynamics, the behaviors within the organization that inhibit growth and alignment. It was a very successful program for our team in that it helped us break down a lot of the silos and barriers between the various departments to help us to collaborate and troubleshoot some of the challenges within the organization, as well as to help us align ourselves towards one common corporate goal.
We have a team that is now fully engaged, and quite frankly, my challenge is how do I keep them going? How do I keep the momentum going?
What I saw it do in 12 weeks, we have not been able to do for probably about 5 or 6 years. It allowed us to take 12 different personalities at a table and align them all towards a common goal of growing the company. It allowed us to invite those persons who were coming up as successors for our roles and introduce them to a new way of thinking.
These past 12 weeks with our fantastic coach, Marcel Winchoy, have been a real eye-opener for me. If I was to sum up the program in one word, I would say it has taught me to care. It has given me insight into my colleagues, made me think about my approach to work, my approach to interaction.
How you interact with your family, how you interact with your friends, it really plays an important role in your life.
We have learned so much about not only the various departments of the company, but also from our individual co-workers. And it has helped us to appreciate the process and each other.
I would heartily recommend the Engage and Grow program as a necessary ingredient in any organization wishing to improve its organizational effectiveness and efficiency.
You don't need to be too big. You don't need to be too small to start something like Engage and Grow.
We are now far more confident that this team will deliver.
Great. So a little bit of feedback there from another program that's being run in the Caribbean. We are in the process of wrapping up 2 programs. So you'll also be seeing some feedback from portions right here in Guyana. Now, what makes people actually take action? These are what we call neurological motivators. So we respond to pain, pleasure, reward, punishment. And the program is designed with these type of motivators in mind. Also with the core human needs, people all have a need for love, variety, growth, certainty, significance, and contribution. And then we also have utilized the methods in which people learn quickest. which is through discussion, experience, and people teaching each other. And this is how it is built. And there are really only two ways to change, right? We can either try to hypnotize you and make you forget your bad habits and really adopt some new habits, or through repetition. And repetition means doing the activity over and over and over again until a new behavior is developed, cultivated, and really permanently adopted. And for that area, we really focus on the hard side because that is what really leads to an engaged team. Now, what we want to look at is how do we know if we really have an engaged team? And an easy way to do it, and I would ask you, take a snapshot of the screen so that you can work along as well. But question number one, we start off at the skill set area. And is there a skills development program within your organization? Is there training and development? Are people being appraised so that we can determine what the areas for improvement are? And that we can really figure out, okay, what needs to happen in order to move people along faster? Then we move on to feedback. Is there within your organization a methodology for open and transparent feedback, or even anonymous feedback, so that you can really understand what's happening in your organization and address it and really deal with it? Benchmarking. When it comes to benchmarking, are you comparing yourself to other organizations like you, either locally or internationally, to understand, okay, what do the best in the business do and how do I compare against that? Because you don't want to be in a bubble where you think that you're doing fantastic, but it's nowhere near what the best in the industry are able to accomplish. Then we look at culture. Is there trust and open communication? Can people talk to each other when there is an issue? Is there accountability as well? Do people know exactly how they will be measured, and what those measurements are, so that they can track accordingly and they can really make the effort to deliver the performance that is necessary? And then solution focus. Does everybody run and bring a problem to the forefront, or do they actually work on delivering solutions? When they see something, do they decide how that could be solved? Now, when you have skill set and skill set and culture, that's when you have productive people, and that's one step in the right direction. But then we look at leadership. Is the vision and the values of the organization, are they really clear? Do people know where this organization is heading, and do they know what the values are that we're looking for in people? Personal development of the leaders and everyone else in the organization. Are people actively looking to get better as individuals, so that they can really elevate themselves, do a lot more for themselves, move the organization forward? And is there space for recognition? When the leaders see things that are going well, do they come out and do they say, well, this is exactly what we're looking for, this is what is rewarded and recognized? And you will notice that when the skill set is there and leadership is there, that's when you actually have excellence, culture and leadership, loyalty. But when we have all three in place, that's when you really have a highly engaged workforce. Now, as you're doing in the exercise, you might notice that, okay, some places are really going great, some need work, and some are poor. We really need to start focusing on the areas that are very poor at the moment. And the easiest way to do that is to understand that there are steps that we need to move people through in order to achieve that employee engagement. And step number one is evaluating the scenario. Where are we really? Setting benchmark of where we want to arrive at, because that puts us all on an equal footing. It allows people to buy in so that everyone knows that they will be, if they don't perform, they're actually not allowing the team to perform. When they realize that, that's when you really have unity in the team and meaningful connections start to be formed. People start aligning, and whatever the negatives were, it allows people to communicate and allow that to become very positive. People get to develop trust in each other, and they move from just positive to being a high performance team. And then how do we cultivate that? How do we stimulate that so that people can really become the true version of themselves and really grow and be on a path of continuous improvement? Now, I did talk to you about, again, the brain side of the organization. That's where action coach is really strong. And then you have the heart side of the organization. And what we notice a lot is that currently in organizations, most of the things that need to be improved to really be top class at what you do, what your organization does, are on the hard side. People do believe that more communication is needed, recognition is needed, customer relations need to be improved, and we then design the program to suit exactly what is needed in the organization. And there are many keys to this, but I'm going to take you through a few of them, which is making sure that people know what the goal is, that they know that the process of actually recognizing and rewarding each other, bringing in best practices into the organization, people sharing their own stories of how they have overcome difficulties. It also includes personalized one-on-one coaching, helping other people in the organization step up their game and become the new leaders, teaching people how to actually run a meeting and chair a meeting. And innovation is also a key one, making sure that there's always a pipeline of new ideas that allow an organization to move forward. With this, then these keys are then really put into a weekly agenda, and specific areas are dealt with so that we can really achieve the results that the people and the organizations are after. Because when people join an organization initially, it's almost like sheep, right? They just want to know, okay, where do I fit in? How do I actually hold on to this job? And it's almost like sheep, right? They say, okay, go here, do this. And people follow along with whatever is said. Once they get settled into the organization, they're very much about themselves, right? It's more about me. And, they start trying to establish their authority and find their space. And what you really want is people start thinking about the we, the bigger picture, for everyone to really achieve more. We then measure that performance over every week. And in cases where, if one or two people score red, so they didn't get what needed to get done, the entire team is would actually be scored as red. And that also allows people to really start checking in on each other. Are we doing what is needed to move individually to move forward as well? And you see, when you start working on, even if we work with 6 to 12 people, they start affecting many more people in the organization as well, around the organization. So the impact really scales up and moves people into a space where they know that, okay, they need to take the right actions, know what is important to them in order to move to a better place. There are many results across the world. I can't wait for our programs to come to a conclusion where we can also see the shifts that have been made locally. And this is another example, actually, Massey Gas products, and let's hear a little bit from them. See if this works.
Well, since the program started, this team that I manage was fairly new and didn't know each other. So we still in that storming, norming type of space. And what we've seen since then, since we did the program over the last 3 months, was a significant change in the quality of conversation and a significant change in the relationship developed between the members of the team. The participation level, the trust, and at the end of the day, a real caring showing up in the team. For me personally, it's made my job easy because the collaboration that you now see among the team members means that I have less to do with the day-to-day operational issues that I had to get involved in before. And you're seeing a lot more of that internal collaboration among the teams. and a genuine trying to solve problems without me having to get involved. So it's made my job easier. For the way the program is structured, it can only benefit the organization and it can only benefit the people because it's around the people's development, first of all. Second of all, know that it requires participation. So lead by example, right? So if you are deciding to do this, recognize that you have to dedicate of yourself and you have to give of yourself to lead by the example that you are trying to foster in the team. And every success will come after that.
All right, so one of the ways in which we track this improvement as well is through surveys in the beginning of the program, the middle and the ending of the program, so that you can really understand, okay, great, what's happening. And at the end of the program, we then look at, okay, great, what is really moving well, moving forward, and what is still missing? What do we need to add in so that we can always design follow-up programs to move it along? Across the organization, there are large group programs. There's also, the most popular one is the Red Belt program. It's 12 weeks. There are also leadership programs where we can work with individual leaders to really move them and develop their leadership skills. There's for women's leadership as well, and even for sports teams. So you never know, we might be working with the West Indies team soon to really help them activate the winning side. There's also the Achievers Club, and all of our programs are actually able to, we can deliver them virtually as well with very good results. Now, the options are, you can run a program, and to run a program, again, we need to measure where are we starting. And in order for us to know where we're starting, we would collaborate with you to get that survey out, because once we get started, the sessions are generally up to 90 minutes per week. It's usually an hour per week. It's facilitated by a coach. It's a lot of action, very little pen and paper. It will directly impact anywhere between 1 to 100 employees, and indirectly impact hundreds of employees and clients. I know with one of the companies that's going through it right now, it's 480 plus of their clients that are actually directly impacting. And it goes for 12 weeks, session per week. And just for those of you who want to do the calculations, it costs about $67 per person per session. And generally, we keep the groups to between 6 to 12 in order to have really, really good results. So what is the leader that you need to be today? How do you move the organization forward? Are you someone who is a disliked leader? So people, really wouldn't want to take instructions from you. Are you someone who's openly disrespected? Are you someone who has to run behind everyone, manage them, and try to lead as well? Are you someone who's actually getting some results and starting to be respected inside the organization? Have you had a lot of results and people say, okay, great, we need to follow this portion because they have accomplished quite a lot? Are you a stress-free leader? Someone who, regardless of what people bring to them, you can have a calmness about you, knowing that through your knowledge, skills, and abilities, you're able to really deliver a solution every single time, and you allow people as well to deliver solutions through their own efforts. And then the intuitive leader. The intuitive leader can really see what's coming on the horizon and prepare themselves and their teams to really get the best out of themselves. Now, I did promise you a free gift, and the free gift is an anonymous survey. It's a survey that takes just about 60 seconds. So if you want to test in your organization what the level of employee engagement is, all we will need is the name of your company and the number of people that you would like to participate. And within 24 hours, you would have the survey link go out. Everyone is able to fill that in anonymously. So the results also come in anonymously, and then we compile it. And you would actually get to see what is happening within your organization. because the world is really in your hands. If you want it to get better, if you want it to really get the results that you're seeking, you would actually have to take action. Nobody else is really going to do this for you. So please make sure that you do take any action that is needed. So if there are any questions, please feel free to type them into the comments, and I'll be sure to capture any and respond to any questions that come up as well. And again, we will continue to make sure that we bring this knowledge to you. I know that the results that the persons that are going through the program are having is just phenomenal. The growth that they're seeing individually and organizationally, more than pays for any kind of investment in programs like this, because we really want people to really expand their horizons so that they make space for others. We do believe in abundance, and abundance means that there's enough for everyone and we can really move forward. I didn't just mention that I would have given you one gift, but 2 gifts. So offer number 1 is that you can benefit from a employee engagement survey, and once we get those results back, we can then schedule a complimentary 90-minute leadership planning session. Because we know, we all know that we need to plan and that we need to have things in order, but do we take the time to do so, and do we have the skills? Do we actually have someone who is specialized in this day in, day out to get it done? And you actually have the opportunity to benefit from one of our coaches sitting with you and helping you through this planning session. So I really wanted to be able to share that with you today. I hope that this was a fantastic investment of your time. And I would like to leave you with our employee engagement manifesto, the things that we believe need to be in place for a high level of engagement. So enjoy and feel free to reach out so that we can really help you move to the next level.
Our world is an employee engagement crisis. Only 13% of employees are engaged in the global workforce, causing dramatic effects in any organization. Your organization can expect a more engaged workforce, improved productivity, an enriched culture, and increased profit. Engage and Grow is not your traditional training company. Training is dead. We're challenging the norm with everything we do, and our customers like it. All programs are individually designed by the Engage and Grow team, enabling you to facilitate the highest quality, tailor-made programs, improve communication skills, create deeper relationships, and foster a caring, social, and cooperative attitude. Our coaching will improve leadership qualities and build solid trust between employees, encouraging innovative thinking and proactive future planning. Engage and Grow will refocus, re-energize, and re-engage your employees, and we have tangible methods to measure the results. Our workforce engagement, leadership effectiveness, women's leadership, and engaging the millennial programs will create movement in the mind of employees and your business, creating a movement that will take your company as an empowered team into the future. Bring the gusto back into your organization. Engage and Grow.